Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are tackling something that honestly feels like a literal magic trick, but is actually one of the absolute foundational concepts in modern engineering. We're going to explore how we can multiply force to astronomical levels, using nothing more than enclosed liquids.
Think about this for a second. Have you ever watched a mechanic at work? How is it physically possible that a single person can apply just a tiny amount of input force, literally the push of a button, and effortlessly hoist a massive 4,500-pound vehicle right up into the air?
To figure that out, here is our roadmap for today. First up, Pascal's law explained. Second, building a mini lift. Third, scaling up to scissor lifts. And finally, hydraulics versus pneumatics. Let's dive in.
Part 1. Pascal's Law Explained, the liquid lever.
To understand the heavy machinery we use today, we actually need to rewind way back to the year 1653. That's when French mathematician Blaise Pascal made a revolutionary discovery, establishing what we now call Pascal's law. Basically, it states that if you change the pressure at any point in an enclosed, incompressible fluid at rest, that pressure change is transmitted equally and undiminished to all points in the fluid. The absolutely crucial word here is incompressible. Unlike air, you literally can't squish liquids like water or oil into a smaller space. And because of that, a liquid essentially acts like a flexible mechanical lever.
Imagine a closed, U-shaped tube. On one side, you have a small piston. On the other side, a much larger piston. Because the fluid inside won't compress, pushing down on that small 1-inch area transmits the pressure perfectly through the fluid. So, if the larger piston has 10 times the surface area, boom, your output force is multiplied by 10. You input 1 pound of force on the left, and you get 10 pounds of lifting force on the right. To put that into perspective with some real-world robotics engineering numbers, say you have a standard shop compressor producing 100 psi of pressure acting on a small input cylinder. If that transfers to a much larger 22-inch output piston under a car, the resulting upward force is a staggering 38,000 pounds. That is easily enough to press a 4,500-pound car straight to the ceiling without breaking a sweat.
Crazy enough, it actually took over a century for someone to take Pascal's math and build a working machine with it. In 1795, an inventor named Joseph Bramah patented the very first true hydraulic press. By using fluids as a mechanical force, Bramah sparked a revolution that completely transformed manufacturing and gave birth to a whole new class of machine tools over the next 50 years.
All right, part 2, building a mini lift, fluid power in action.
Let's bring this down to earth and see what happens when you put this physics to the test in a hands-on student experiment. Like any great engineering project, it starts with a raw design, just a simple sketch on graph paper. The challenge here was to build a miniature, working hydraulic lift capable of hoisting a heavy, remote-controlled police car. This is where the magic begins, calculating dimensions and figuring out the exact lifting mechanism before building.
And the actual laboratory build is incredibly clever. Using basswood, syringes, and clear plastic tubing filled with colored water acting as the hydraulic fluid, the student created a fully working model. Now, during testing, they hit a snag, a very real engineering constraint. One single syringe just didn't displace enough water to lift the heavy RC car. So they had to iterate, cleverly redesigning the framework to add more syringes to pump up that fluid volume. The result? A perfectly smooth, satisfying vertical lift. It is literally fluid dynamics in action.
Moving on to part 3, scaling up scissor lifts. Let's see what happens when we swap basswood in syringes for massive industrial steel. Scissor lifts are heavily relied upon all over the place, warehouses, airports, mostly because they are incredibly cost-effective and provide rock-solid stability at unreachable heights. They rely on what's called a pantograph mechanism. That's that distinct accordion-like rhomboidal pattern of crossing arms you see supporting the platform.
The way they operate is brilliantly straightforward. Step 1, a double-acting hydraulic cylinder at the base starts to push. Step 2, that horizontal force pushes against the scissor arms, forcing them to open up from a nearly flat 5-degree angle all the way to a 45-degree angle. And step 3, as that pantograph extends, the top platform goes straight up, safely lifting the heavy load.
When you look at the real-world specs for a lift like this, it gets pretty impressive. We're talking a maximum lift height of 2,000 millimeters, so about 2 meters, with a maximum load capacity of a massive 500 kilograms. And remember that nearly flat 5-degree starting angle? Well, that means the single hydraulic cylinder has to overcome insane leverage right at the start.
Calculations show that to lift that 500-kilogram load plus the weight of the lift itself, the cylinder has to safely output over 9,000 newtons of force.
Which brings us to part 4, hydraulics versus pneumatics, choosing the right power. Now you might be wondering, if we just need to pressurize a fluid to create lift, why do industrial machines deal with messy oil instead of just using compressed air? Well, it comes down to the fluid itself. Pneumatic systems use gases, like air, which are fast, clean, and take up less space. But they compress. Hydraulic systems use liquids, like oil, which absolutely do not compress. Because of that incompressible nature, hydraulics give you incredibly smooth, highly stable, precise control over extremely heavy loads. Sure, they need more maintenance and bulking reservoirs, but when you're moving 500 kilograms or more, that kind of raw power and energy efficiency is just non-negotiable.
But of course, we have to remember, this fluid power isn't actually magic. It completely obeys the laws of physics. As one of our sources perfectly puts it, the hydraulic press doesn't violate energy conservation. Instead, a small force exerted over a large distance is substituted for a large force over a small distance. It's simply an ingenious trade-off. To lift a massive weight on the large piston up just a few inches, your small input piston has to travel a much, much greater distance. You're basically trading distance for sheer brute strength.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Hydraulics are literally all around us, in garbage truck crushers, forklifts, automotive brakes, construction cranes. Next time you see a giant piece of heavy machinery doing something superhuman, take a closer look. Ask yourself, somewhere hidden inside that machine, just how small is the input cylinder? And how far is it traveling to generate that massive earth-moving force? Thanks for joining us on this explainer, and keep looking for the hidden mechanics in the world around you.